gonna leave here?
You
gonna go back to the
Where was there? I'm not sure what it's supposed to be. I'm not even sure. Yeah, it is. Not working on
Oh, okay, I'll work on that.
He has to have the trick.
Well, screen is or most of my pretty much turned on.
Like my thought offering is I don't really But still, I mean, if they want to entertain putting ECC out there, they've got to have all the numbers. The boxes will be big enough to stick the whole ECC database. So AWS came out with 2 terabytes. So cheap. Nothing's cheap.
Yeah, exactly. So make the whole pool here. I don't have to think about this. So I got so much work.
They get a lot of attention looking through the mail, I guess.
No, I mean,
There's like 150 of them, aren't there?
there's a balance. There's a balance.
There's like 150 of everybody else. Right. There's a lot of them virtual.
Think about what
A lot of SAP. Like this whole side of it.
Yeah. Then you get to the training. Well, in that case, you get so you're doing next week? No. Exactly. And then they follow up on Tuesday. Did you do it? I said no.
They send a ticket, they send an email that they sent the ticket, and then they have to inside. I'm looking at the server, it's not people. No, they tell you that on the street.
There you go. Use cloud to your advantage.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, and they do it.
Very good.
Have fun.
Enjoy it. So who's
Now, if you do the same thing in-house, we could have saved money by doing it in-house, by
If you look at it over time, like if they try to do is take it care of yes. So you only going to spend $100,000 or whatever. And then you're like, okay, so the licensing and trying to apply it with it costs us $300,000. You're going to end up having a thing. If you look at it like just for sale. A month. You want to add any other department? It's another thing.
Oh, okay. I'll just leave it in and
Yeah.
fire it up with those batteries full.
Yeah. Yeah. We should make this one.
Sorry, I didn't mean to talk to you.
Oh no no.
And then they also copy the data which is also like another 20 a month. Over and over and over again. And look, when you get it done, you get all your data. You're going to do that indefinitely. Because it's yeah, you would have paid $1 million. But you would have had that for 5 years before you look at that over. Financial model. I'm doing it because
All right, 2 minutes past, sorry about that. Okay, so third keynote today, another person that needs no introduction. One of the funniest bloggers online, in my opinion, wahlnetwork.com, Chris Wahl, everybody.
Hey, welcome. I know that I'm between you and lunch, which is always a sticky situation to be in, so I won't run over, I promise. And welcome. This is going to be kind of a techie, more nerdy session. I think the other two, less high overarching constructs, more how to do things. Hopefully that's cool with the audience here. This is kind of me in a nutshell. I think the only really interesting takeaway is that I'm a huge nerd. I love Dungeons and Dragons, specifically Pathfinder, which is based on the 3.5 rules. So if anyone else loves pencil and paper still, I'm with you. I like the old school. And I'm not too serious of a person. I try to keep things funny and interesting, because I think being preached at for an hour is boring. So there will be nonsense. If you don't like nonsense, this is your opportunity to leave and drink soda or something like that. This is my favorite show, actually. And as a public service announcement, I just wanted to point out this that I found on the internet. It's an actual sign. I weep for this culture. Yeah. It's horrible, horrible stuff. Okay. I don't play the game, but apparently it's really popular, and people are getting in car wrecks. It's like the new texting. So first thing I want to ask.
Darwinian process.
What's that? Is there a Pokemon in here?
It's a Darwinian process.
Okay, I just want to make sure what's next to me, something in my leg or.
Gotta catch them all.
So if you could be anyone, who would you be? Batman, all right. Anyone else? No? You want to know who I would be?
Hugh Hefner.
I would be this guy. That's my spirit animal right there. That's it. Everyone's seen Jurassic Park, right?
Yeah.
He's also known as Newman when he played on Seinfeld, if you're really old school, right? And he doesn't get enough credit, I don't think. And I put a little heart space there too, because I love this guy so much. He doesn't get a lot of credit. In fact, in the whole movie, he gets kind of annoyed, and everyone takes a crap on him, and he's just like this bad guy. But people don't realize that he's the original DevOps gangster. Like, this is it. This is the dude right here. 1993 DevOps, Dennis Nedry, right? Because he's like the guy. He runs an entire multi-billion-dollar theme park by himself. Wrote all the code, runs the thing, and notice he's playing chess on his other computer, and his boss is tearing him down for like not working hard enough. And he's like, I'm not making enough money. So like that's how much time this guy has. To the point where this guy in the movie literally says like 13 times that he spends unlimited amounts of money on everything except IT. So it's reality, right? It's exactly how the world works. And he is solo, he has no one to help him out, so it is kind of also reality. But my favorite part about Dennis, and this is why he's my hero, is throughout most of the movie, he doesn't actually do any work. Right? He's out conspiring against his employer. He's so like automated and so DevOpsy that he has time to put on a Hawaiian shirt, go out, eat tacos, plan the overthrow of stealing eggs and getting off the island and making lots of money. Like that's how much time this guy has. So he must be really, really good at IT. Must be awesome, because he's the dev and the ops, right? He does have kind of an unfortunate ending, but he does a great job, right? So I want to be more like him. In fact, it may have had something to do with me going to school to become a developer. I was going through about 2 years of my computer science degree, and for some reason, I decided to change majors, to leave computer science. There was one programming language I just could not stand. So I went to network operations and became like an IT professional instead. So I think the world's been more like Dennis Nedry. He's obviously shown that one guy can both build, operate, and conspire against his company successfully-ish. If that stupid weather storm hadn't come in, he would have been successful. It's like those dang kids hadn't interrupted my Scooby-Doo and blind. So I guess now that we know who I model myself after, we have to ask the question, why? What's the point behind PowerShell and RESTful APIs? Now, I think the first thing is that we have to acknowledge the fact that Microsoft has a spotty past. Right? It's had a shady past. Windows NT came out, it's kind of cool. Windows 2000, awesome. We'll pretend Windows NT didn't exist. All those versions up until Windows 7 and Server 2008 was pretty good. 2003 is probably still being used, but for a long time, this was the ecosystem. Like, it was a joke. I remember I was a huge Microsoft fan for a long time. I remember trying to find positive themed swag, like hats and stuff, and it didn't exist. Everything you searched, like Microsoft swag, was how much people hated Microsoft, which I thought was unfortunate. But now, I think Dan had this picture on his slide. Like, that's an official Microsoft marketing picture. Like, they made that. That's Microsoft. Like, what? That's crazy. So, the ecosystem is becoming richer and more interesting, which is cool, and that's the baseline for anything you're going to invest in technology. Don't invest in a dead ecosystem. You're not going to get Nobel certified today, are you? No, it's like, you're not even getting a CPR, it's completely dead. The other thing is really simple to learn. PowerShell, very, very, very simple. That's not a big deal. It's very human language. Unlike the other programming language that I showed you, where the placement of a period can cause the whole thing to not compile, PowerShell is very simple and easy to debug. Right? And APIs really are the glue of the data center. Moving forward, it's going to be APIs, which is awesome because I spent a lot of time automating components and endpoints to work together using SMIS and other archaic protocols, and even SOAP, which is API-ish, but very large and ugly. Right? So this is a cool glue. Probably second most important on my list. You get to build whatever you want. And I include both the male and female version of awesomeness here. Right? We got gender equality in IT is underserved. So rather than having to take a product that someone gives you and say, well, I can only do what this product tells me I can do, you can take multiple products and glue them together using APIs and something like PowerShell. Right? There's a lot of value to the company. You can build whatever you want. Right? So it's like Legos for IT, which is fun. Actually, there's no such thing as Legos, plural. It's Lego bricks or something like that. Lego actually yelled at me for saying, there's no such thing as Legos, Lego bricks. Okay. But final, most of all reason is I don't really want to work ever. Right? I don't really want to do anything. I want to do the minimal amount and have it be successful. And I feel like you start doing PowerShell automation, things like that, you can channel this guy who goes fishing and eats Cheetos and plays Tetris at his desk, and his boss can't do anything about it. Realistically, as I started learning to automate, I realized I didn't have to tell my boss that I was doing that. So a project estimate of 5 days would internally become 5 minutes. I'm like, oh, it'll take 5 days to do that. And then it's done, and then I get 4.99 days to do other things. Yeah. So that was my goal, to get home and raid. I didn't want to do work. I did not want to be this guy, that's for sure. He doesn't know how to make anything. Right? So there's kind of the reason, right? It makes your life better, more valuable. There's a lot of preachy stuff about the world going that way, but it's also more fun and less work. Those are my goals. Right? So what do you need to get started? It's 3 steps, because everything should be 3 steps, apparently. And the third one should be profit, but this one's not. So first step, have PowerShell, and that's kind of an obvious one. Version 4 is required, version 5 recommended. Cool, that seems easy, right? It's on all the native versions of the operating system behind and install it for it. Wow, we're already at step 2. That was the first one. This is an optional step. I recommend setting up a profile so that every time you enter the world of PowerShell, it's very consistent and it's, I guess, more fun for you, right? So there's 3 different types of profiles you can set up: the console, the integrated scripting environment, both. I recommend setting one up both. Putting it in your all users path right there. You can put it, in your current user path, because you always have right access to it. It's for you, rather than trying to plop it into the Windows directory. And then setting up a short little script that launches. Specifically, what I do is for my development environment, I just bypass all the security stuff. I'm sure that makes anyone who's security conscious weak. But who signs the PowerShell scripts? Nobody. Right? So we'll bypass that. I set my location to Dropbox because I write all my code in Dropbox, so it syncs across my computing devices. Which again, I'm sure security people are just throwing laser beam eyes at me right now. And then I check to see if I'm running the ISC or not. And if I am, it executes this other parts of code, which starts with what's called ISC steroids, which is a great plugin for PowerShell ISC that enhances the experience and makes it much easier to start documenting and writing code. I clear the host, and then I engage Spirit Animal, which is the guy flipping the table, so that every time I launch the PowerShell ISC, it's in beast mode and flips the table instead of just our slant pass or anything flip over like that. Right? So he flips the table. I had some people actually rewrite and checking the code where it was the Kirby guy dancing, or whatever. But it's fun to write a simple message. You'll chuckle every time you go to open up the ISC. Cool. Are you gonna do that? You run a profile for PowerShell?
Yes.
All right. I'm not feeling the energy. Is it because you're between the coffee high and the lunch low? Is that
Blood sugar.
okay. And then number 3. Here's the important one. If you're going to take away any of the 3 steps, this is really, really important one. It's just, you can do this. Right? A lot of people will come up one-on-one and say, oh, Chris, I can't, this is so hard. I can't learn this. You're crazy smart, intelligent. Like, no, I've just failed at PowerShell for a lot longer time than you have. Everything I've learned was from blowing stuff up and making mistakes or going through it. So believe that you can do this, because you absolutely can. And here's the logic behind it. No one was natively born knowing PowerShell. Even Jeffrey Snowden, who invented it, had to figure it out. Right? So you can do it, and that's because everyone else that learned it had to go through the same process. They're just at a different stage in their career than you are. Does that sound fair? You feel pumped up? You learn some PowerShell now?
Oh, Chris.
Okay, so I have some demo stuff, and the way I wanted to go through this was talk through how to create the commandlet and then show it to you, and it's subject to the internet lords working, the Wi-Fi guides and all that stuff. So if it doesn't work, don't blame me too hard. But let's talk about how to construct a PowerShell commandlet to talk to an API. Cool? Okay. And that's from Plants vs. Zombies, and we'll play that game. This little walnut shield guy. Oh, okay.
That's a healthy guy.
All right, we got 3 players. Cool. I love video games, if you can't tell, or have video games. So first off, I had a question what is REST? I keep seeing this RESTful API thing. I don't know what that is. It's an architecture. It's not a thing necessarily. It's not a protocol in and of itself. It's a way to write the way that data transfers between systems. It's a way to architect data transfer between systems. It follows these tenets. And these are duh kind of tenets, right? Why would you design a system that doesn't support this kind of architecture? You'd be surprised. A lot of people do, right? So RESTful means it supports this kind of architecture, and that it's all about transmitting data from one system to the next. If you think about it, when you open up Chrome or Firefox or something like that, you're just telling it to get data from an endpoint and bring it to you, and then your browser translates that into visuals. Right? So you're already making a very similar type of call using the internet, and the API is HTTPS, and you're calling over or HTTP to get some information, and then it's displayed in the browser. So if you don't think you've ever made an API call, if you've ever used an internet browser, which I'm sure everyone in this whole room has, congratulations, you've made a GET call over the internet. And the other key thing is that it's platform independent. Right? So typically, the way that you talk to a system is based on what that system is. And with an API, specifically a RESTful one, it doesn't matter. It doesn't really care what you are. You just tell me what information you need and what information I can get from that, and we'll talk. Cool. So it's like a Babelfish. You stick it in your ear and you talk to anybody you want. Or like Star Trek, because apparently everyone speaks English in the universe in Star Trek. I was just watching reruns of Voyager, and they're in the Delta Quadrant, 70,000 light years away, and everyone speaks English. It's like, come on, guys, how did you science that one away? They haven't come up with an answer yet. Cool. So here's the 5 things you need to write a PowerShell call to an API. First is a commandlet, which I put a thing in there because you have used PowerShell before. That's a kind of a binary or abstract way to call .NET through PowerShell. Right? So it's a verb-noun format where you say, do something for me. The endpoint is that then you tell it to do something. You're like, hey, I need this, or I want to give you this. The method is the action you're trying to perform. You're trying to create or delete or modify information. And then there's a header and a body. And that's typically where we put the parameters and the security information so that we can authenticate to the endpoint and tell it what we need. Cool, 5 things, not bad. It's not 3, but it's close. Sometimes it's 3. So let's go through a sample use case. Let's say that we want to write an API call to power on a virtual machine. Very simple, right? We probably do that all the time. So first we need to pick a commandlet, and there's two in Microsoft world. And I don't really know why, because one is awesome, the other one's completely worthless. So invoke web request, awesome. It gives you everything back that you need, the status information, header information, the full response code is given to you. Awesome. Invoke REST method is the one that you probably would think you want to use. Like when I first started working with it, I was like, oh yes, I'm doing a RESTful API call, I want to invoke REST method. Wrong! It only gives you the content back, but not any header information, which is largely worthless. And I'll tell you why very shortly. Okay, so you'll pick invoke web request, that's the command that you want to consume. And then you got to talk to an endpoint. You got to tell the command, like, what do I want to talk to? And this is where your vendor comes in. They're supposed to tell you how to talk to their system. Right? So there's a URI, which is basically just a URL, just slightly different. You know, uniform resource locator versus identifier. It looks like a web address. Right? So you're getting a web address, and really everything towards the end is unique. So you're always going to call whatever the endpoint is / the endpoint specific information. In this case, it's /VM/power. Which just by reading that, you can kind of figure out, okay, this is going to have something to do with powering a virtual machine on or off. You just logically figure that out. And this information should be published over by your vendor. Now, I used to have a photo of a sales engineer or sales rep being slapped by a trout, meaning like if they don't do it, hit them in the face with fish. That was found offensive. So I'm telling you that that would be in the deck. But I've removed it. Right? Yeah, because it's a fish. Maybe I'll have a SpongeBob slapping Patrick across the face. I don't know. So they're going to tell you the required or optional parameters. There's sometimes optional, sometimes required, sometimes not. And the expected status response. Again, that's why I choose invoke web request, because I need to know how the response went. Tell me the status. Was it okay? Was it malformed? Did it not find the resource, etc.? And this is an example from the company I work for, Rubric, where we actually tell you all these pieces of information through Project called Swagger. So we'll tell you things like there's the endpoints, /VM/power, what's the method, all that kind of stuff. I'll go into it. The vendors give you that information. Right? You shouldn't have to like suss that out through chicken bones and sacrifice or something. The next thing is the method. That's the action that you're going to perform. And again, it's very like plain English, I suppose. Put and post are probably a little confusing. Maybe patch, but like get you data, delete data. Well, that's not too crazy. If you're just learning, I recommend staying with get. Don't start with delete. It's probably not the right action to start with. Someone's like, oh, what if I blow everything up? Like, it's a get. You literally can't blow anything up. It has to be what's called idempotent safe, meaning every time you do it, it's idempotent. It's always going to return the same value, unless someone changes the value. That's not your problem. And it's safe, meaning you can never modify data. So if you're wanting to learn with APIs, look for safe commandlets. And if you're looking for testing something out just for learning purposes, use an idempotent commandlet or method. And then finally, we need to authenticate. And this is where PowerShell needs a little bit of work. Right? It's not quite there yet because PowerShell natively can't encode characters to like basic or something like that. You have to call. Anytime you see these like brackets up there, that's where it like calls home to mama and says, .NET, I need your help. So there's no native command for this yet. It will be releasing soon. But all we're doing here is just saying we want to authenticate and prove who we are. Otherwise, if anyone can call your API and authenticate me, is that a great idea? No, that would be horrible. Anybody could talk to it, could do whatever they want. So, very long story short, we're just taking the username, putting a colon after it, and the password, and then encoding that using a base 64 encoding. That's all that is doing. Which means you can't have a colon in username. This actually came up as a question when I did a similar session. It's like, oh, that means I can't use a colon in my username. Is that a normal practice? I have never in my life used a colon in my username, nor do most systems even let you. He's like, ah, it's a flaw. I'm like, all right, so no colons in your username. Really? But you can't use them in the password because once you hit the first colon, it demarks it and those are the password things. Just remember the base 64 is encoding, not an encryption. The encryption is handled by the fact that you're communicating over HTTPS. Right? So that's what's actually encrypting communication. So that's what I would store, or that's what I would use to encode the username and password, and then I would store that what's called a key value pair, which is a hash table in PowerShell speak. The key is authorization. The value is the word basic, a space, and then that base 64 encoding. And that's kind of hard to find on the internet. That's why I'm telling you this kind of stuff. And this allows you to do basic authentication of the endpoint. You stick that in the header, and that way when the endpoint is saying, oh, you gave me some data, let's see what you got. It'll crack it open and look at the header of your command, of your call rather, and it'll say, oh, cool, I found this authorization key. Let's see what the value is. And it'll actually decode that basic SQL encoding, compare it to a username and password that it knows about, and make sure they match. And a lot of times it'll give you back a token. And that way you can use that to validate subsequent calls instead of having to pass the name and password over. Make sense? At least you can just copy the code verbatim, you have to really know what it does. Right? So there you go. And then finally the body. This is where I pass the parameters to the endpoint to tell it what to do. These are, again, very vendor driven. They're going to be optional or required depending on what you're doing. In this case, they would be required because we want to tell a virtual machine to power on. So I'm saying, hey, again, the @ symbol with the curly brace is just a fancy way of writing PowerShell hash tables. So I have a key of VMID and a value of a variable that holds the VMID that I've gotten some way, through some method, or maybe the user gave it to me. Then I have another key called power state, and that equals to true, which is a Boolean value in PowerShell just saying yes, that should be on. So this is really just saying, hey, API endpoint, find this virtual machine in your environment and set the power to on or yes or true. Right? So that's all we're doing. And this would be what the call will look like when I actually write the code. Those maybe haven't used PowerShell before, little tildes at the end, it's just a way that I continue one line on multiples so that you can see it kind of a little easier on the eyeballs. But I'm saying, hey, I want to invoke this web request. I'm not using invoke this method. I'm supplying 2 values statically in here. Typically, I prefer using variables, but just to show you what we're doing. I'm calling that server TLD, whatever, whatever node.local /VM/power. I'm saying I want to post because the API told me that's what I need to do to power on. I'm creating a new resource. The resource is a power on request. The header and the body, as I showed you earlier, they just run for variable. And all of that work is going to power on the end. And someone's like, oh, I can just right click it and power it on, or whatever. I can just do like power on VM or something like that. Why would I ever do this? Well, there's a couple good reasons. But I think it boils down into this awesome book that I'm going to be reading. The Site Reliability Engineering Handbook, basically, that Google wrote. And they like to express stuff we prefer to do by hand as toil. It's just like, it's like a swear word. It's like the F word in their book, toil. We never want to toil. And I kind of agree with this program. I think Google has some things a little bit like in their own world. Like the fact that you can have an error budget and a percentage of failure, which I'm like, that's cool. What if you run an airline or air traffic control? You got a 1% failure rate. That's a lot of dead people. You can't do that. That's a Google problem, not a realistic problem, or a healthcare company. Right? So there's obviously reality in Google world. Context is important. But I think it's important. We're talking about mundane, repetitive operational tasks, but most importantly, that scale linearly with service graph. Right? Because we don't scale linearly. There's only one of each of us. And you can only hire X people. Sometimes it's just you. Sometimes it's a team of 3 people. And if they want to unload 3 times as many services or applications, you can't just go hire 9 more people. I mean, if you can, you work in an awesome place. They have a lot of money. But most people can't, right? So automating this process means that I can give it to someone else, I can put it in a workflow, and I can make it work for me, right? I can make sure that this is always going to be consistent and repetitive. And yeah, the power on a VM thing is kind of a small use case, but it's an example, right? Do you agree or disagree? Do you like toil? Do you toil? Do you feel like you toil? Silence. No one's toiling. Everyone's already doing this. Yes. Or does it just hurt so bad when I point out things like this that you're just like crying on the inside, like, oh, I toil so much. It hurts. Maybe a little bit. All right, let's hope the internet's working here, and I'll show you an example command line as long as we're good on time. I think we are.
Yep, we're good.
Cool. Which means I can't split my screen as well. Let me pull up this guy. How's everyone doing so far? Really good? Oh my gosh, that's huge. Is that big enough? Can I make that bigger? Can't see it? Rawr, there we go. That's an invalid command. No, is it good that I can read it? Oh, writing code for PowerPoint or as a projector is just like the biggest faux pas. I should never do it, but unfortunately my presentation's on writing code, so I'm kind of screwed. So let me first re-authenticate to what I'm doing here. And what I want to show you is, let's go ahead and I want to make an API call. I want to show you the differences between the web request and the REST method, just so you can see it. Right, so I'm going to do this call. Apparently I am, oops, I didn't see any method. One moment, there you go. I have a split screen because I don't want to make anyone nauseous. I actually have feedback that, hey, what are you doing? It's making me nauseous because you're flipping screens. I'm like, oh, well, I don't want you to puke on my session. That would be bad for my morale. So I'm going to not do that. Cool. So what I did is I said, I want to store the results of this call into a variable called R1, request 1. Again, if you haven't made it very apparent, I'm very lazy. So I don't want to write the word request. I just say myself 6 keystrokes. It's about 2 seconds of my life. I'm going to go get a web request to a variable called URI and header called header. Right? Because that's where I store information. The URI is the endpoint that I showed you a little bit earlier. And what we can see is when we look at the results of this variable, I can actually just ask it, hey, what do you have in the information? And you'll notice that it looks kind of like, what the heck is this? Right? It's mid, it's just verbally kind of over there. What it's actually telling me is all sorts of really good information. Specifically, what I like is that at the top, it tells me the status and the value, like the description of the status. Why is that important? Here's why. PowerShell will make a call to an endpoint. And if it gets data back in any way, shape, or form, it's going to be like, cool, it worked. Awesome. But that's not true, right? There's the command executing successfully and talking to the endpoint. And then there's, did the endpoint actually return useful data to me that I can do something with? And if you remember back to the little flash where I showed you the parameters of the API call, that Swagger picture, the vendor tells me I need to get a 200 status back. If that's what you should be looking for. If you don't get that back, the call was not successful. So simply running the command and saying PowerShell, did you get a response back, yes or no, is not good enough. I have to come back and say, did you get a 200? Right? That's why I like above request. I can actually call it and say, what was the status code? In your R1 status code. I'll say I got a 200 back. And so I can write logic on that. As an example, here's one where I can say, if the status code is not 200, write a warning that it broke, or throw an error, or just stop running. Because otherwise, and I learned this through mistakes, like through my own errors. I just said, oh cool, the call was good, just keep going. You get this railroad effect. It's like, yeah, everything's cool, but it failed the whole time, just bleeding red all over the script. Right? So check the status code versus what the vendor says it should be. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right? So the command ran and we got the data back. But the content looks like that garbage up there, right? And invoke REST method has the ability to actually format the content for you. It'll read what it is and not give you back something ugly like this. Look at the content, like, bleh, that's JSON. PowerShell doesn't know JSON natively. JSON is the JavaScript object notation. It's just a way to format text, and it's a really fancy way, using curly braces and things. And it's orders of magnitude better than XML, which is probably the worst markup language I've had to work with, even though it doesn't look like this. So I actually say, hey, PowerShell, I got back this ugly blob of JSON, can you fix that for me? And it can say, yeah, sure, I can do that for you. So I can actually run a command, just scroll up so you can see it. I can say convert from JSON to whatever that format is that I want, from JSON to PowerShell, to a hash table. And it'll actually come back and say, cool, I'm actually telling it also find the SLA goal and respond with just that information. So it's now formatted all pretty, doesn't that look way better? You can actually read that, see like what that information is, and you can go further and further down the route. So that's invoke REST method. To contrast that, let me show you web request. So we'll say that is R2, and we'll take a look at R2. I'll say that R2, when I run the command and I say, what did you get back? It's just information already pre-formatted for me. But you see status? No, there's no status or anything like that? No idea. You could parse through the content and look and see if it's malformed or not. You could do that, but why? When the API is already going to tell you if it's a 200 or not, why bother trying to go through this garbage and figure out if it's good or not, right? So you could do it that way, and you could actually do the same query and say, give me the old information, but why? Do you agree or disagree?
Yeah, go for it.
A lot of people, they're very like religious about extra step, and I'm like, oh, but error checking. Like error handling is kind of important, especially if you're doing a delete call and you don't see if it was successful or something like that, and you're just going through a railroading and deleting everything on your environment. Probably a bad idea. You should probably error check that. So that's all I'm saying. Here's another example. Using my lab back in Santa Clara over the Wi-Fi here. So, I mean, kudos to whoever set up the Wi-Fi here. It's working pretty good. So, awesome. I love this place. So let's say that I have an SLA of gold, and it doesn't really matter. If you want to learn more about Ruby, they're in booth, you can do that kind of stuff. Well, let's say I want to use an API call. And I've actually wrapped all the API calls of Ruby in PowerShell functions, right? So that would be kind of lazy. I'm just saying, let's get information on a virtual machine in the environment. So in this case, I get an API call. Let me zoom that up a little more. Try to make it big so you can see it. There we go. So I said, hey, give me all the information on a virtual machine called SE Wahl Linux, which is my Linux, one of my Linux boxes running in this lab. And I asked the Rubric API, just the example I'm using, give me all the information you know about this virtual machine, right? And it's come back and it gave me kind of generic cluster information. Where's the VM? Where's it live? What's it doing? What's it powered on? And then it gives me vendor-specific stuff, right? So this is where the vendor you're working with is going to be important as to what you want to do. And so in this case, the vendor stuff is, it's coming back and saying, well, I'm not backing up this workload. I'm not protecting it using a policy. So it's saying unprotected. So I can see the key value pair is the configured SLA domain, and the value is unprotected. And I might say, well, I want to change that, or I just created this workload because of my provisioning process or my lifecycle process or something. You know, there's some reason that I want to make a change to this. But I want to programmatic. I don't want to have to like go do this manually, be iterative. I want to be, or inherit. I want to be declarative about it. Right? So what I might do is say, well, that's not going to work for me. I want to actually assign something. I want to change the value. So what I can do is say, well, give me some information on your SLAs. Tell me what you know about them. So I can make another call and say, give me information on all of your SLAs, specifically the gold one. I can save that to a variable, and then I can interrogate the variable and say, all right, for that gold SLA, how often is it going to take a backup? And how often is it going to change those backups from daily, monthly, yearly, whatever. And it gives you that information. I'm actually calling and say, what's the frequency of that SLA? And I can apply logic to that and say, unless it's at least every 4 hours, I don't want it. I can just go through and say, give me one based on the name or the amount of backups or even replication. So give me one that's being replicated from this cluster to this other cluster. Make sure that there's a Boolean value true, that the time in minutes it makes sense, right? You can interrogate some logic on this. Then I can say, okay, based on what I'm seeing for this SLA, the gold one's the one I want. That one's cool. It meets the backup policy and the replication policy that I want. So then I can say, go ahead and protect that for workload. And what I've done is I've turned on verbose logging so you can actually see what's going on. So I'll scroll through it. It gives verbose is very verbose, as you would imagine. So if I scroll up, I said, well, protect that virtual machine. I gave it the VM from previous, that one that's the Linux box. And I said, give it the SLA. In this case, it's the gold one. And it says, cool, I'm connecting to the API, I'm getting a token, so it's logging in, it's authenticating, it's then looking to get the VM ID, and then it's calling these specific endpoints. Get HTTPS, my public demo, archive status, or anything that's not archived, and it's saying, go ahead and assign this SLA to it. And it's coming back and saying, cool, it's all done, I'm retrieving information on the workload, I've now changed it to be gold, and this is just a long piece of JSON coming back. And it says at the very end, I set it to gold. I've done that, it's good. Returns a value saying 200, okay, it's all done. I can then query it again, all using APIs, there's no magic here, and say, well, what's the status of the workload? And it's going to go back and say, well, it's gold. Right? This is where I think it hits home more than the power on and off kind of thing. What if I could do work like that across the data center? I mean, put the rubric stuff aside, I don't really care about that necessarily. But what if I could do that for the entirety of my workload? For the configuration, for where it's at, for what it's doing, for storage, network, compute, etc. Backup is just one example. And then wrap that up so that my team can start consuming that. Or when I'm not around and I want to be on vacation, they can consume that. Or even more importantly, this is just writing automation. What if I can make the automation automatic? So that when it notices that the configuration for the VM isn't what I want it to be, it fixes it for me. That's really the goal I think we're trying to get to. Put aside the Google infrastructure for everyone else kind of stuff and the DevOps kind of stuff. We're really just trying to make sure that we can be a force multiplier in IT, and that we're not the shortest path to get to something, that we have workflows that have been kind of collaborated upon and proven out to do this work. APIs in PowerShell are one way to do that, and then one of my favorites. So I'm kind of biased in PowerShell, but does that make sense? Like there's a lot of things you can do here, and there's no cost barrier to this. As long as there's an API in PowerShell, you're not paying anything for this. In fact, all the code that I've written here is open source, meaning you can play with it and download it and do whatever you want. So that goes back to the toil thing. I don't want to toil. Really, if I could do anything in life, it would be waking up around noon on a beach, drinking margaritas, playing video games, and then going to bed like 3 in the morning. That would be it. That's all I need. Right? So this kind of is how I would get there. You know? That would be my goal. Or automate so awesomely that I could, you know, remember in the office space they stole the penny with every transaction? Something like that, but not illegal. That's what I need to figure out how to do. Maybe toll ways or something. I don't know. The not illegal part is important. I think it's quintessential to the architecture there. So I want to give you a couple takeaway pieces, and all of this is available on my SlideShare.net account. Just look at my name, you'll find all the decks up there. One, if you want the code I showed you today, that's written for Rubric, but again, it's just good examples. Go to my GitHub account for Rubric, it's Rubric Inc. And it's all there. It's open source under the Apache 2 license, meaning you can do whatever you want with it. If you want to contribute that, great. If you don't, I don't care. If you prefer to use the Windows PowerShell gallery, there's a Rubric module on there. You can either install it or you can download and play with it, tease it apart. It's all written, again, open source. It's not a binary, it's actual PowerShell functions, so PS1 files and PSV1, etc. So you can crack open any of those files and see how I did it, and maybe you use that for your environment or a competitor's environment. I don't really care. Right? The point is to learn this stuff and to advance the state of the art. If you want to go for my personal stuff, I've got a GitHub account on the Wahl network. This is one example of a project that I wrote called Vester, where I've used Pester, which is a unit testing framework, and PowerShell to audit, validate, and remediate drift in the environment. So it's like host profiles and build stuff. If you want to download those. How do people use host profiles? They're like a few. And are they awesome? Like awesome in theory, but the storage always breaks some of that stuff. So that was my idea, was to not do that anymore. Because I also run all of our labs, and there's only one of me, and I don't really do that full time. One last thing, or second last thing, I'm at VMworld. These are my 4 sessions. You come by, I'll give you a high five, or I'll probably have some lifesavers on me and give you some candy. I don't know how, like they'll be in my pockets, so they might be able to stick stuff together or something. Might get 2. And then this to me, I love this guy. Anyone watch I think it's called like Cooking something, right? I can't remember the name of the show, it's debating, but it's this series they did where they follow around chefs. And they're not competing, it's not like Gordon Ramsay, you guys all suck kind of stuff. It's like, hey, these are wise chefs that have lived their life and they're kind of teaching others. And Francis Molman is like, he's like he's like the Dennis Nedry of cooking, right? This guy is a certified badass. You have to take a plane to a boat to a hike to get to his house. He lives like out in the middle of nowhere. And he teaches people that don't know how to cook, like very young chefs. He doesn't want to talk to people with experience. He wants to like kind of unmolded minds. And he had this great quote: "You do not grow on a secure path. All of us should conquer something in life. It needs a lot of work, it needs a lot of risk, that's important. And to grow and improve, you need to be at the edge of uncertainty." So I feel like the fear in our gut is a good director towards what is probably a good thing to do. With IT, not, you know, like, oh, that's a dark alley in the middle of Chicago, I'm gonna go down that. Fear is telling you the right thing, don't go down there. But for IT, I think it's a good compass. Right? So you're not doing PowerShell, you might be thinking, oh man, that's kind of scary stuff. That's your gut telling you, go there, learn that. Right? And if you're always within your comfort zone, then you're kind of on the escalator going the opposite way. You're like trying to go up and down, but you're standing still and it's just carrying you back down. You have to always be kind of climbing against that curve because IT is a constant waterfall that's flowing against us. So that's my spiel. Thank you very much. If you want to talk to me afterwards, I'll be at the Rubric booth or the lobster bank. Thank you very much.
Cool. All right, guys. So lunch is on right now. The breakouts start at 1 p.m. There'll be some announcements and some time outside.